The story of MK Ultra begins in the deep shadows of the Cold War, a period defined by fear, paranoia, and the constant threat of espionage. The CIA, obsessed with the idea of controlling the human mind, launched one of the most secretive and controversial programs in modern history. MK Ultra wasn't just about intelligence. It was about testing the outer limits of human psychology, often at the expense of those who had no idea they were part of an experiment. Imagine walking into a sterile laboratory, the faint hum of fluorescent lights overhead, the smell of chemicals lingering in the air, and realizing that everything you do is being observed, recorded, and analyzed. Imagine being given a substance that can unravel your mind, or subjected to hypnosis and sensory deprivation, all without your knowledge. This was the reality for many, and the consequences were both immediate and lasting. Over the next 2 hours, we will explore the experiments, the people involved, the ethical dilemmas, the political pressures, and the chilling legacy of MK Ultra. We will examine the stories of individual subjects, the ambitions of those conducting the experiments, and the dark intersection of psychology, power, and secrecy. Origins of MK Ultra. In the early 1950s, the world was gripped by fear. The Korean War had exposed the vulnerabilities of American soldiers to enemy propaganda and brainwashing. The CIA, desperate to stay ahead of the Soviets and Communist China, began to explore radical ways to control and manipulate human behavior. Project MK Ultra was born as a top-secret initiative to study mind control using drugs, hypnosis, and psychological experimentation. Dr. Sidney Gottlieb, known as the Black Sorcerer of the CIA, was assigned to oversee dozens of subprojects, each exploring a different facet of human behavior. Some involved willing volunteers. Many others targeted unsuspecting individuals, including psychiatric patients, prisoners, and ordinary citizens. The program spanned 149 known subprojects, including behavioral modification, chemical interrogation, hypnosis, sensory deprivation, and attempts to create Manchurian Candidate operatives. Each subproject was designed to push the boundaries of human consciousness, often disregarding the ethical and legal consequences. Gottlieb's team worked in universities, hospitals, and secret CIA safe houses. Researchers were often unaware of the full scope of the program, and some became complicit in experiments they might not have otherwise approved. The secrecy surrounding MK Ultra was so complete that even Congress would not learn of its full extent until decades later. LSD experiments. LSD quickly became the central tool of MK Ultra. Scientists believed that the hallucinogen could unlock the subconscious mind, break down resistance, and allow for implantation of suggestions. Volunteers, and in many shocking cases, unsuspecting civilians, were given LSD in doses carefully calculated to observe psychological effects. Operation Midnight Climax is one of the most infamous MK Ultra operations. In San Francisco and New York, the CIA established safe houses staffed with prostitutes who lured clients. The men were secretly dosed with LSD, and hidden cameras recorded their reactions. Some laughed uncontrollably, others screamed in terror, and many experienced lasting psychological effects. Among the most tragic figures was Frank Olson, a CIA scientist unknowingly dosed with LSD during a retreat. Within days, Olson's mental state deteriorated dramatically, culminating in his mysterious death. His story exemplifies the human cost of MK Ultra, an experiment that blurred the line between scientific inquiry and cruelty. The CIA also tested combinations of drugs, including mescaline, psilocybin, and barbiturates, in attempts to develop formulas for interrogation or behavioral control. Each experiment included meticulous recording of every reaction, from subtle eye twitches to body movements, in the hope of discovering precise methods for influencing human behavior. Subjects endured extended sessions of psychological stress, where the combination of chemical, sensory, and environmental manipulation created profound mental trauma. Some developed long-term paranoia, dissociative disorders, and other lasting effects. Hypnosis and psychological manipulation. MKUltra's ambition extended beyond chemicals. Hypnosis was explored as a tool to control memory, behavior, and identity. CIA researchers attempted to create sleeping agents who could perform tasks on command without awareness of their actions. Techniques included prolonged sensory deprivation, repetitive audiovisual conditioning, sleep deprivation, and psychological stress. These methods caused extreme confusion, stress, and in some cases, permanent trauma. The goal was to manipulate human cognition at the deepest levels, exploring whether fear, suggestion, and environmental control could override free will. Behavioral engineering experiments attempted to determine how environmental conditioning, trauma, and repeated suggestion could create obedient individuals. The ethical violations were staggering. Many participants were completely unaware of the experiments, and some suffered irreparable damage. The CIA also documented techniques for interrogation, memory erasure, and emotional manipulation. These studies formed a foundation for modern understanding of psychological operations, though achieved through methods that would now be considered inhumane and illegal. Unethical human testing. The ethical violations of MKUltra were staggering. Many subjects had no idea they were part of an experiment. Soldiers, prisoners, psychiatric patients, and civilians were all used as test subjects. Famous cases include Frank Olson, whose death highlighted the deadly consequences of unethical experimentation. Patients at Allen Memorial Institute in Montreal, who were subjected to electroshock therapy, LSD, and sensory deprivation without consent. Civilians involved in Operation Midnight Climax, secretly filmed and manipulated for research purposes. Congressional hearings in the 1970s revealed hundreds of experiments, though many records had been destroyed, making the full scale unknown. MKUltra exemplifies what can occur when curiosity, secrecy, and unchecked power collide. Participants often endured extreme psychological trauma, some lasting a lifetime. Memories of hallucinations, paranoia, and fear persisted, raising questions about informed consent, personal rights, and governmental responsibility. Legacy, pop culture, and modern reflections. MKUltra's legacy extends far beyond its experiments. The program inspired films, books, and documentaries, including The Men Who Stare at Goats, Wormwood, and countless conspiracy theories. Its influence is also evident in the ongoing discussion about surveillance, behavioral manipulation, and the ethics of psychological experimentation. Modern technology, social media algorithms, targeted advertising, and political influence campaigns echoes the principles explored in MKUltra. Understanding and manipulating human behavior. The lessons of the program remain chillingly relevant. Conclusion. MKUltra stands as a stark reminder of what happens when science is pursued without ethics and when power is unchecked. Its secrets may never be fully revealed, but the stories of experimentation, suffering, and human resilience endure. As we reflect, we must ask, how far should humans go in pursuit of control? What moral boundaries must never be crossed? MKUltra challenges us to examine the limits of power, the fragility of the human mind, and the consequences of secrets left in the shadows of history. Imagine standing in a lab, hearing the faint hum of machines, seeing shadows moving across walls, and realizing that human curiosity, secrecy, and ambition can sometimes be more dangerous than any external enemy. This is the legacy of MKUltra, a dark chapter that continues to teach, warn, and haunt us.